So mastering the Airbnb check-in process is so important. I think this is one area that too many hosts just lapse on, and they set off the guest experience on the wrong path, which leads to negative reviews and overall just going to impact their revenue from the get-go.
Yeah, so important. It really is your first impression when your guests are checking in. First impressions really, really count. If that guest is having a bad experience in the first sort of interactions they're having with you, they've got their guard up and they're probably expecting more things to be wrong, which means they're probably looking for more things to be wrong. So set yourself up for success, get those guests checked in happy, and then they're going to sort of be expecting good things. And, if there is any other issues, they're more likely to be more understanding. You've built a good rapport from them from the beginning. So super important. And there's definitely some strategies to implement there to make sure it's nice and smooth and you're, setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 5 things, we definitely know these are the 5 main things that are going to help that check-in process and give them a good experience. The first one is in preparation with, setting them up for success, is making them feel reassured and actually having a pre-check-in touch point. So making sure they hear from you, making sure that they have communication from yourself as well, and just answering any questions that they have. A lot of the time it's just going to be like how to check in, where to check in,
early check-in.
Yeah, early check-in. And a really good thing is give as much as possible at the start, besides giving them the actual codes, to allow them to feel reassured that they got that property, or that they've got the property they want to book for. Yeah,
and a lot of people, right, they book somewhere, and if they don't hear from you straight away, they will actually get a bit concerned. Like, people want to hear, like Zach said, like you said, you want to hear from them straight away because you want to feel reassured that your booking's gone through, you've probably just paid for something, so you want to know that there's someone on the other end of that booking that you've just made that's received it and is kind of confirming it, no matter how many official confirmations you get. Hearing from someone saying, hey, looking forward to hosting you, blah, 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 that's really valuable, and it does make people feel like there's a real human at the end of their booking, and it is really reassuring. And like you said, it's that communication and answering those questions. Again, it's building that rapport before their check-in day. So setting yourself up for a smooth check-in day because they're sort of happy. They already feel like they know you before that. Take your time, be there for your guests, no matter how far in advance that is.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And the second point would be clear instructions for the check-in. So that making sure they actually understand how to get to that property. So that's going to be where they're going to park. So if your property has parking, give them a map of where exactly that car spot is. So they're not just trying to park, and especially if they're not from the UK, there's there's the yellow boxes, or not yellow boxes, the white boxes.
Yeah.
A lot of people just parking there, they're going to find, they're going to get a bad review, and it's really important to make sure you have that. The other thing is where the actual door, or where the entrance is. So especially for blocks or even just single properties, just detailing exactly, maybe from the car park to walking into the property. And also where the property is located on the map. This just allows the guests to have peace of mind. You want it to be effortless for when they check in. And as soon as they get there, they're just at that oasis, as people like to call on Airbnb these days.
Yeah. Yeah. I always envision, right, like we've had it before, right, when we've gone to check in somewhere, you've got this really obscure, random instruction. And we've been in the dark with our torches trying to find keys before, right? Like loads of times in torrential rain. Do you remember when we were just like walking up and down this alleyway for like half an hour trying to find keys? If the place is nice enough after that, you're all right. But really, you're giving people a bad start. So yeah, in all cases, make it really simple, make it really straightforward, break it down, assume the person checking in kind of knows nothing, right? Like they're not.
Treat like a 2-year-old.
Yeah. If someone's from a different country, things are different. So you want to break it down really simply. And I think prioritize this even more if it is a bit more obscure. So for example, if it's in an apartment block, right, and the front door has a different sort of access, or like you've got to go from a parking space, you've got to walk around somewhere to find the front door, things like that. Anything specific, highlight it and explain it with video, but also with text, so that you've covered all bases really.
And you start to realize what, if you have a property launching and there's certain questions, these are the questions that you need to add to your actual check-in book or your automated check-in message. just so that it stops that question even being there. Yeah. And I think leading on from the second one is the third point, which is going to be lockbox access and how they get into the property as well. You don't want to buy the cheapest lockbox, and you need to make sure that it's a keyless entry as well. This is just, in 2024, people don't want to be checked in by someone, and also you don't have the time to do that. It needs to be something that is just easy for them to get in at any time of the day as well, to allow that easy flow of access.
Yeah, and just picking up on what you said before on point 2 about, adding stuff as you go along, that is really important. You're not going to have a perfect day one, are you? No, start off as best you can, but learn from the questions that you get and then adapt and improve. So true. Even down to things like, this key can be a little bit tricky in this door, so make sure you pull it like this or whatever, right? Like really specific things. Probably going to pick up on those over time, so that is really important.
Or even how to open the lockbox, the answer lockbox question. Like,
so true.
People don't know, people can sometimes never use lockbox before. Yeah,
so true. So true. And like in an ideal situation, if you can have a keyless entry, then that's amazing. Multiple reasons. It's easier, but also you're not then having problems with lost keys in the future or breaking keys in the locks and all those problems. So you do avoid those, and it is just seamless and it is easy. But if not, then a lockbox, and like you said, not the cheapest lockbox. For me, right, this sounds really niche and people sometimes laugh when I say this, but
nails, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so many people going to be in that situation. There's certain lockboxes, if I open it with my nails, with my hand, aka my nails, they break. I've snapped so many nails trying to open rubbish lockboxes. So for me, checking in, that would really frustrate me, and I know I'm not the only girl
that would have that problem. From that, yeah.
I've had to use like a key, and I'll use the key to like push a little thing down because it's going to break my nail. So nice and simple and easy, and definitely sort of better quality than like the £15 one you can get on Amazon or whatever. So next point, what are we on now? Number 4, cleaning. So this is about the first impressions once someone gets into the property. So, okay, they've arrived, you've spoke to them, you've been on call, you've answered any questions, they've got in. This is their first impression in the property. And that really is down to the cleaning. If they rock up and the beds look a bit scruffy, or, something's been missed with the cleaning, maybe the sink's a bit dirty, those first things that they're going to see. And I guess that's also things like maintenance, right? If the property's sort of run down and there's marks on the walls, all that sort of stuff. That is the first impression. And no matter how clean a property is, if one thing's dirty, the whole property is dirty in their eyes.
They put the goggles on, As soon as they find that one thing, everything becomes a problem. And problems that they would not have seen otherwise are now highlighted in full. And I think with the cleaning as well, like, you got to remember that people expect it to be perfect because they're investing some hundreds and hundreds of pounds, on a rugby night, really £600-800. They are spending good money that you should make sure that property is good, and you charge them for that cleaning as well. So that is why they're double annoyed, because they know they're paying for cleaning. So I think a really good thing on this as well is to make sure that whoever you have as a cleaning team, they're like your eyes on the ground as well. Making sure that any little broken maintenance issue is fixed because they're noticing it. That's another kind of little bonus point there is, maintenance issues, not really cleaning issues. But if something's looking dodgy or not good, then that's also going to cause them to raise their eyebrows and start going around and looking for things and looking at glasses and seeing the little water stain on there.
Or rubbish outside.
And that's bound to get, what was normally going to be maybe an 8 or 10 out of 8 out of 10 can now be maybe a 5 or 6 or 7, which hugely impacts that review and that experience.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think you have to kind of always put yourself in the guest's shoes. If you've just travelled, right, like let's just say, I don't know, 3 hours, or you've just come off a flight and you're checking in somewhere, you're exhausted, maybe you've got kids with you, whatever it is, you've got a busy day.
Just finished work.
Yeah, you just finished work, maybe you've got to get to sleep because you've got to get up early for work, whatever that situation is, the last thing you want to do is be worrying about where you're staying. You want to feel comfortable and at home, and that feeling needs to want to create.
It's all about proactive, not being reactive. As soon as you're reactive,
Totally.
That's when the issues come up. But, it's always so good to be reactive, and you need to have, not, when we're humans, we're always going to have errors, but we want to minimize them down to the lowest of the low ability as well. And I think, again, this will lead on to the last point, which is courtesy calls. So this is a massively important part that not many people do for scalability reasons, but also just they don't think it's how important it is. This is your opportunity to get the first kind of feedback from your guests when they've checked in. And what this allows you to get is, if there's any issues, then you can rectify that and be that proactive, not reactive person until they say it. And then if you're on that, and let's just say they had a little issue and you're going and sorting that out within a couple of hours, they're going to really remember that, and that's going to help them forget and actually increase your rating.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing as well is it's a chance for them to get some good feedback as well. So if they are happy, then push to get a good review.
Yeah, so important. So yeah, call your guest. I used to think that this would be annoying, right? I used to think, I don't want to annoy them. Like they don't want to, be contacted by us. But actually, like you said, call them, like the next day after they check in.
Not at 8 a.m. like
no,
a
not
reasonable time.
No, not too early. And yeah, you're just giving them that chance to speak and sharing ideas. I mean, we've had it before where we've actually had a review, saying when we checked in, everything was great. There was a slight, problem with whatever. But the host was amazing. They fixed it really quickly. They were really helpful. And that actually pushed the review forward. So even if it is the tiniest of issues, if they get that chance to tell you about it, you get a chance to prove yourself. You get a chance to show how much you care, show how much effort you're putting in to keep them happy. And actually you will go up in their books, even if there was an issue. So definitely do that. And yeah, if there is any problems, make sure you follow up on them and you take action.
Yeah, 100%. There's something actually online that shows that some properties that don't actually have a perfect review are more likely to get booked because people actually genuinely think that's a listing. There's so much fraud that goes on in the world. So if you're sitting at like a 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, and there's other ones that are 5 out of 10, 5 out of 5, it's not the end of the world because it's honest reviews and honest feedback with people's stays. They can actually, people will not think that everything's going to go perfect. But if there's some slight things changing, it does actually it puts people at ease. So that's really, really key. But I hope everyone found these 5 points super important. And if you're not doing them, make sure that you start implementing them from tomorrow.
Yeah, remember it's that first impression.